Well, KastKing friends, you're looking at a whole bunch of fishing line from KastKing. Everything from Super Power Braid, Copolymer, the Extremis, and their mono. Why is that? Well, there's a reason. I'm doing a video now because I wanted to tell everybody. I switched over to KastKing because of their fishing line. That's what started me out on KastKing. And that was roughly about, I think I'm on my 4th year now. Right about 4.5 years, something like that. But I was using mono filament, 12-pound test, just like this, from another brand. And I won't go into names with other brands because there's no purpose in it. Because everybody's asked, I've had several people ask me, what brand were you using before? Doesn't matter. Because I was having problems with it and it was snapping, and KastKing doesn't. What you need to know is, by KastKing, it won't snap. But it was during tournaments, and I had a good 8-pound fish on, if not bigger. It came up out of the water right next to the boat. We saw how big it was, and the thing snapped off, and I about freaking lost my stomach to that. So I got checking around. I started perusing the internet, finding out who had better lines. What were people using? What were you guys using to stop this? And I heard a lot of brands coming up, and KastKing was one of them that came up. And I had heard a little bit about KastKing's reels and stuff, and did not know that, come to find out, fishing line is how they got started. So I'm like, if they're already selling reels and stuff like that, which, your other XYZ brands don't make line, and they started out making line, that's probably worth checking into. So I got a hold of their forums and stuff on Facebook, and got a hold of AJ Gore. He was pretty prominent out there on their website, and he was willing to talk to me and told me how I wouldn't look back if I started using their line. And sure enough, he was not kidding. So I decided to talk to him about some reels and stuff like that, and ended up, here we are 4.5 years later using it. But their mono filament started putting fish in the boat again. So I was like, well, if that works that well, because it was really the brand X that I was using, it was really only the mono filament that was giving me the fits. But I'm like, well, if I'm gonna switch brands, I'm going to switch brands all the way and be done with all this stuff that keeps giving me problems. I'll use it as backing. I'll go ahead and put it on as backing so that I get a good use out of that old stuff. I don't want to just throw it out, but I do not want it to be basically used in any way, shape, or form tied to my line that's going to be in any way, shape, or form being used to haul in a fish. So I used all my old brand X as a backing and started going to monofilament. Well, this stuff works so well, I was sold. I wasn't breaking off anymore from those issues, and it wasn't like I had old line that had been sitting around 10 years or something like that. I mean, this was brand new line that was snapping off from brand X. So I was real impressed with the KastKing monofilament. It spools on well. It doesn't take a hard set at all, and it's just smooth as butter, man. So that got me into looking into their braid, because doing a lot of braid fishing, and at the time all they had was their Super Power Braid. And I'm telling you what, that was a game changer too. That braid, which you everybody knows braid casts a long ways anyhow, but their braid, it holds color a lot better than most. and it casts a country mile. And this braid actually goes from 8 pound clear up to 150 pound test you can get. So pretty impressive. I was real impressed with how the big range, because we do a lot of catfishing during the winter months when bass tournament season gets over. And I mean, you've got 40, 50, 65, 80, 100, 120, and 150 pound tests you can get this in, and all the way down to 8, 10, 12, 15, 20, 25, and 30 pound for the braid. So I was real impressed with this, how smooth it felt in your finger. It felt round. It didn't feel squared up and stuff like some of them do. Some of them you can just tell it feels weird when you run your fingers over it. So I was really impressed with that, and the fact that they won ICAST awards with it really impressed me. So I pretty much was like, I think I'm going to be switching over to all KastKing here real soon. For everything, rods, reels, the whole thing. So I decided they didn't really have much of a fluorocarbon out at that time. So I was like, they've got a copolymer. So I decided to check out their copolymer. And that stuff, their maximum performance copolymer, amazing. It's got some stretch in it that you need to act like the monofilament. If you're using anything with treble hooks, basically, I love it for anything with treble hooks. Now, I'm not one to really, I have one reel that I spool the whole thing with, and I'm pretty sure it's my square bill. If I'm not mistaken, it's my square bill crankbait that I spool the whole thing with copolymer from KastKing. But the rest of them, I use it as a leader more than anything, and those leaders can be anywhere from 6 to 12 foot all the way to sometimes 20, 30 foot. It just depends on what I'm doing and where I'm at, why I'm doing it, things like that. But that being said, I'm real impressed with this stuff too. It goes clear down to 4 pounds, so you can get it in 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15, 17, 20, 25, and 30 pound tests. I tend to be 10 pound is all I buy it in. And that's what this is right now. I've got 2 boxes of it right now in the 300 foot spools that are, or 300 yard spools. And 10 pounds pretty much my go-to. That's my go-to for, leader. That's what I'm using it for, is leader, and the particular techniques I'm using that leader for, 10 pound. But I was really, really, really impressed with how well this copolymer held up and worked, and has just enough stretch, and yet it's super abrasive resistance. When I'm running my square bills along those real heavy ripraps along the rivers and stuff that we have, I'm telling you what, and we've got some man-made lakes that are just rock as far as you can see, and I mean big, jagged, nasty rock. This stuff holds up. I'm real impressed with their copolymer. So this stuff's good for, they even say it on the back, salt water, fresh water, you name it. And I do, for a copolymer, a lot of people have problems with copolymer, wanting to play the old fluorocarbon game and take sets and stuff like that. This doesn't. I've never had a problem with it, and it casts a country mile. Is it as smooth as braid? Probably on bait casters, but on a spinning rig, braid's pretty hard to beat, especially their KastKing's really smooth braid. It's really hard to beat. But I will say, on bait casters, this stuff casts a country mile, man, and it's strong. It's abrasive resistance. I love it. I mean, I can't go to anything else besides KastKing's lines. It's amazing. I'm sold on it. But after using that and seeing how well it was, they come out with braid that's supposed to be, and I say supposed to be because when it's braid, how's it supposed to be abrasion resistant? How could it be more abrasive resistant when it's it's braid? How's it going to be abrasive resistance? But when KastKing came out with that Extremis braid, they did it. I don't know if it's just, this outcasts everything in their lineup. including their monos, their copolymers. I mean, this stuff is slick. So I don't know if it's abrasive resistance because of just how it's built, or just because how slick it is. It holds its color great, but I'm telling you what, this Extremis braid, I'm almost thinking now. There is one caveat to it. I was getting ready to say that it may officially replace my Super Power braid by KastKing, but the fact that this goes clear up to, the Super Power braid goes clear up to 150, depending on what you're doing. You know, if you're fishing the Illinois dams for some of those big catfish, or you're on our Lake Powhatan we have around here with big blues and stuff, blue catfish, I don't know, because this Extremis braid only goes up to 80 pounds. That's the caveat. So it goes from 6 all the way up to 80 pounds. So you got 6 pounds, 8 pounds, 10 pounds, 15 pounds, 20 pounds, 30 pounds, 40 pounds, 50 pounds, 65 pounds, and 80 pounds. So, you know, it's more limited in those upper ends. Like this one will go from 8 pounds, so not down to 6 like this was. This, I think the Extremis is a bass fisherman's line. It's a definite bass fisherman. Crappie, walleye, pike, you know, all that kind of stuff. And we'll still do catfish. This guy right here, being as it goes clear up to 150, I mean, that's anything. You want to go out and do reds, everything. So there's a need for both of these. But this stuff, holy cow, the Extremis, I'm floored. It is so slick. It casts literally further than any of my other mono, my fluoros, which fluoros, we all know how fluoro can be. But I haven't gotten any of the KastKing. KastKing has a fluoro now called Covert. It's their Covert line, and I have not tried it yet. Everybody's saying it's great stuff. I'm not a big floral person per se, so I haven't bought any yet. I'm going to, because I do use it as leaders. So I do want some to use as leader material. But until I get my hands on some, because I mean, I've already got the copolymer and 2 spools of that at 300 yards, and I love their copolymer. I just haven't made the switch yet, but I will because I do want to try that Covert because I heard such good things about it. But this Extremis braid, holy cow, this will cast a country mile. It's strong. I have put this through some nasty stuff, and I mean real nasty stuff. Docks with some bad, sharp, rusty edges on it and stuff. And yeah, it starts fraying when you put it through stuff like that. But I mean, I'm putting it through way past extreme. And it's still holding up. So I'm real impressed with it. Like I said, it does go from 6 to 80. So I think it's more of a bass fisherman, walleye, stuff like that, you know, kind of a line compared to their Super Braid, which goes clear up to 150. So you're going to get into reds. You know, you're going to be able to do saltwater. And you can with this. You easily can with this. But being as it goes so low, it's so slick, casts so well, it just seems to me to be more catered to what I, you know, for bass fishing. I use the heck out of it for bass fishing. I will never go without this being on the boat, being in my house, making sure I always have some of this with me. I mean, it's awesome. I will never go without the Extremis braid. But yeah, I just wanted to shoot that out to you guys. And this is 20 pound. I'm just using 20-pound test here because this is not for like my punching rods and stuff like that and my frogging rods. This is just every day. This is my Texas rig. This Extremis is on my Texas rigs, for crying out loud. I mean, it's that good. I just wanted to tell everybody that that's why I switched over to KastKing. Is their line. Their line is amazing, and it's how the company got started. I didn't know that. I thought the line was a spinoff, and they were a reel company and a rod company, and that's not the case. They started with this. So when it comes to fishing line, I'm telling you what, they know what they're doing, and they have this down to a science. So if you're looking for a switch, or you're looking for trying something new because you're losing fish, give the KastKing fishing line a try. This stuff's amazing. And I mean, if I had my choice, and I only could have two lines on the face of the planet, it'd be these two right here. Especially for bass tournament fishing, I'd use Extremis with copolymer. Their copolymer. It'd be KastKing Extremis with copolymer. KastKing is my leaders when I needed leaders, and that'd be it. I could fish all day long and never ever have an issue. So yeah, that'd be my winning combo right there. Right there. I would never have to worry about whether I could catch a fish and have it come off because of my line. Not going to break off using these two together. So that's my 2 cents on it. So, hey, for what it's worth, if you haven't tried their line, and I know people buy their reels and rods all the time. I do. I own a ton of them. I think I've got a couple more reels to switch out, and then I'm going to start the rods. I've got one rod already, and I'm switching out the rest this year. I'll be 100% KastKing. Try their fishing line if you're not using it. You will not be disappointed. And guaranteed you will never lose a fish because of fishing line again. Guaranteed that. If you lose a fish because of fishing line, you better check your knots because you aren't tying knots right. I'll guarantee you that. So, guys, I just wanted to share that with you. I hope you guys are having warmer weather like we are. This is the first year we've had in a long time where we haven't had that much ice on the water, so we're getting to continue to fish. So get that KastKing line in your hands, guys. Winning combination. Extremis with the copolymer. It's a winning combination. Get it in your hands. Get out there. Get fishing. And have a good rest of this winter, man. Keep these lines right here. Keep these lines tight. KastKing lines tight, and always keep it KastKing, man. We'll see you guys soon.